Hi, everyone. My name is Hillary Roman, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Career and Professional Development Center here at South Dakota Mines. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about how to build a LinkedIn presence. So, to get started, I really want you guys to consider this existential question of who you are, right? So, thinking about what are your interests, what are your passion, and what are your long-term and even short-term career goals, because that's really going to help you curate this information and develop it enough to put it on your LinkedIn in a way to really convey a lot about yourself. On that journey or on that path to those long-term and short-term career goals, I'm sure you've already worked at accomplishing a lot of things. So consider those and reflect and look back on those. What do you want to do and why is also another great question to ask yourself. Really stopping to think of these questions and the answers that you have to them are going to be very helpful. And also, if a employer was to ask you how you provide value, what are some things that you can say to that question? So before you begin a LinkedIn profile, I would really encourage you, if you haven't already, to create a resume because a lot of the information can just be copied and pasted from this document and used in your LinkedIn profile. I like to tell people that resume is kind of the cliff notes of who you are, but your LinkedIn profile is really the book. It's really a place where you can expand upon all your experiences in depth, which is not just a one-page resume. So if you make your resume ahead of time, then your LinkedIn is going to be a lot easier to do. Your LinkedIn profile is really important for you to be visible by adding qualifying and quality information, making sure that you're using company keywords and even industry keywords, and sharing your knowledge with others as well. This is a professional profile and a professional platform, so make sure to keep that in mind and always keep it up to date and update when needed. And just like on your resume, you want to be yourself and always just be honest on this as well. Here are some things to keep in mind as you go to develop the nuts and bolts of your LinkedIn profile. So if you build out your profile 100%, and that's like covering all the categories that you can that is pertinent to you, according to LinkedIn, you're going to be 40 times more likely to receive opportunities. So especially if you're looking for a new position or, just seeing what's out there, that's going to be really helpful to get those connections made and to be seen. So the rest of the time not spent looking at your picture by a recruiter or a hiring manager is focused on your name. It's also focused on your current job title, your previous job titles as well, the longevity that you've spent at these jobs or job, your education and the level of education you've received. And also they're going to be scanning for some industry keywords as well. So it's really important to make sure that you keep it organized in a really easy to read manner. LinkedIn's really nice because the formatting's already done. So just focusing on not having too many words, but also making sure that you have enough to really convey who you are and what you have to offer. So make sure that it's easy to read. Okay, so if you don't have a profile yet, you definitely want to make one. So go to linkedin.com. What it's going to do is it's going to ask you some questions to kind of get your profile started and off the ground. So let's say you got 10 or 15 minutes and then you have to go to lunch or you have something going on. If you go ahead and set it up, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you're able to dedicate a significant amount of time to fully flesh this out within the next day or two, just to make sure that you don't forget about it and you don't just leave it hanging out there in cyberspace. So click join now, fill out the questions, and then when you get into your profile, you're going to see there's lots of different sections. And I just took a snippet here of possible sections to add. But these are obviously, just like a resume, going to be all different for each and every individual, right? So my education might be different from yours. You might have different licenses or certifications. I might have volunteerism. There's going to be a lot of differences. And this is just going to offer a lot of different options, but maybe not every option is what you have to showcase, and that's totally okay. So you can include as much or as little as you want. I do would encourage you to make sure that you flesh it out enough so they can really get to know you. You can modify and update as you grow. Definitely encourage you to do this as you continue through your professional career. And there's lots of different sections. So there's like main sections, and then there's, some smaller sections, but just make sure that the content you're adding is really important. Okay, so first, you're in your profile, you got it all set up. The first thing I'd recommend doing would be adding a professional looking photo, and you want to make sure that you make an impression. Well, the photo on the left is an alumni of ours that gave us permission to use his photo. And it's a really cute photo, but it's probably not the one that you want to use on your professional profile on LinkedIn. Might be on a better use on a different platform or in a photo album at your family's house or something like that. But definitely encourage you to stick to something more professional because you're going to receive 10 times more views if you have a photo, and especially so if it's going to be a professional photo. So a lot of people contact our office and say, Hillary, like, I need, do you have anybody that can take a professional headshot, or do you know of anybody? In this case, we know that professional headshots are super expensive, right? It can be like a few $100s sometimes. So not everybody has the money to spend on that. And it's not really necessary for your LinkedIn profile, even though I know we have a headshot of a person down here on the bottom left, but you don't necessarily need to have a professional headshot. Just make sure you choose a high quality photo, not a selfie, but have somebody take a good photo of you with a nice, clean, tidy background that represents yourself very well, and make sure that you are pretty dressed up, at least the top half in your photo. So a tip here is just to make sure that you do keep it recent. You update as you progress through your career, obviously. Make sure you have some proper framing. There's a good example in the bottom left photo. Make sure it's quality and you have that professional appearance. So I know I'm super guilty of this right now, but I have a picture of myself with somebody cropped out of it, and you don't want to do that. So don't be like me. Make sure you just have a picture of just your mug on your professional profile here. Additionally, there's like a background photo that you can add or customize in your LinkedIn profile. I have done that. It's kind of cool. You can make it industry related. You can make it related to any of your passions, like career passions or goals, which is kind of cool. So if you want to, you can update that background photo. Anytime you see a pencil icon on your LinkedIn is where you're going to be able to edit things. So look for that pencil and go ahead and click on that, and that'll be where you can edit this background photo. A tip with the background photo is if you happen to use Canva, canva.com, you can create your own customized image for this space, and just make sure that you use a public domain photo, but I think most of the free ones on there are. So that's just a little tip if you want to customize that background photo. It's completely up to you if you want to do that though. Next is your headline. So this is going to be really important to consider updating and changing. So automatically it's going to default to your job title in your company or the last one that you had if you're not currently working. So it will automatically default, but you can change it. So again, look for that pencil icon. You can change it to industry keywords. If you're looking for employment, you might even say open to opportunities or actively seeking employment. And then right next to your photo on your headline, it's going to say that. So it's going to really showcase that you're looking for new opportunities or you're looking to kind of expand your horizons. Next is the summary, and it's really, and this is just as important. So this is where you're going to share your accomplishments. You might consider, like what's your career mission? What's your mission statement in life? You might even think about sharing some aspirations that you have. Again, focus on those goals or explain how you can provide value. It's always helpful to explain that, especially if you're looking for a new position. Including keywords is also really important to get more hits on your profile. And I'm going to talk with you about how to do that and how to get those right words in just a few slides here. So it's really going to be like your professional profile or your professional summary on your resume. It's kind of the same thing. It's just um, a few sentences to capture people's attention at the very beginning of your profile and really shows off your profile and kind of what's to come. So for this, you can write in first person narrative using I, me, or my statements and make it a lot more personalized to you. Okay, so Hillary, how do you find these industry keywords, right? Maybe you haven't gotten into the industry yet, or it's been a while that or you're switching industries, who knows? So here's some tips to search for those industry related keywords so you can get some more hits on your profile. So the first tip would be to look at other people's profile in the jobs that you wish to be in, and maybe you jot down a few keywords that they use and incorporate that into your own profile, into your summary, into the headline, things like that, and that's going to help again boost those views of your profile. Another way would be to check out some company pages that you're interested in working for or that you admire or you can see yourself in, and find those keywords under their About section. And then search out also their job postings and review for those industry keywords that are going to really stick out to you. Then what you could do is, or just another tip you could do is, if you like Google a free word cloud site, I think Wordable is one, but you can just Google it. You can pull a bunch of text from multiple job postings within your industry that you're interested in working for. And then if you click visualize, it's going to pop up all those keywords or the ones that stand out the most. And boom, there's the keywords that you can use in your resume. That's super helpful. So just a quick tip and something that's going to be really beneficial as you move forward and really curate this information and make it your own. Okay. Also, there's an about section as well. I just have an example of one here that it could look like. It kind of reminds me of an elevator pitch or something that you might use to kind of, if somebody says, tell me about yourself, this is kind of what you'd use to um, say a little bit about yourself. If you're still pursuing your degree, you might mention the degree, your class standing, any previous experiences that you had, responsibilities that you've undertaken, what you're looking for in the future, just different things like that, some goals that you have, just to allow them to get to know you a little bit better. All right, so moving on in your profile is also the education section. You obviously want to fill out your education section completely. It's very important because they are going to check that out. So make sure you have your degree, your full degree name, your full major. So I've seen a few times students, if they're industrial engineering, they might just say industrial engineering and management, when their full title is Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering and Engineering Management. So if you don't know what the full name is, make sure that you do check that out to have that correct. Additionally, you can add relevant coursework on here. You can also add any activities. You might consider adding any professional societies that you're part of. And then I'm going to talk a little bit further in this presentation about how to add those groups later. You can add additional notes related to your industry. But for your education section, just make sure that you're focused on your associate's or bachelor's degree and up. So make sure that you drop your high school information, as that's not going to be pertinent to hiring managers. You're going to be 11 times more likely to have profile views by adding your school information, and that statistic is from LinkedIn. So do make sure that you fill that out completely and you don't skip over this. And you also can add other activities and societies and a description of your accomplishments with those. So make sure you fill out your education section. And then also moving forward, skills is another thing that you'd want to consider adding. I know for me personally, sometimes it can be hard to focus on like, what are your strengths? Well, it can be a little challenging at some times. So if you're kind of like struggling with that, you can always ask a mentor, ask a close friend, your supervisor, coworkers, colleagues, anyone that's going to be able to know what they think your skills are might be helpful, just to kind of get the gears turning and thinking of, what are your skills that you bring to the table. So I would recommend listing at least 3 industry specific skills. You can also, when you go to the skills section, there's suggested skills you can also add, which is kind of helpful, but also make sure that you add even more to those. That's going to be helpful for them to know you better. And there's also a short quiz that you can take on LinkedIn that can prove those skills. I've taken those. I think those are great. things that you can add on there, but also make sure, and on top of industry skills or those like proven skills, make sure that you add your power skills along with your technical skills. So when I refer to power skills, I really am talking about the skills that set you apart. And some people refer to them as soft skills, but I don't really think that there's anything soft about them. It's going to be your teamwork, your communication, your adaptability, flexibility, your grit, your work ethic. All of those things are also very important to hiring managers and really what helps set you apart, right? Because you might know a bunch of technical skills and so might the other person next to you, but maybe those power skills are what set you apart and make you the right candidate for that position. So do make sure to touch on those and go into a bit of detail there. Okay, another section that you might consider is the endorsements. And this is really somebody giving you like a thumbs up and speaking on your behalf that they endorse the skills that you have. So connections that you have that you make with other people can endorse you and rank your skills. But if they do this, make sure that you also reciprocate, but make sure that you've also witnessed those and that those are true and that you're not just doing it on each other's profile, right? Because you always want to be honest on your LinkedIn just as much as you are on your resume. So a cool thing about LinkedIn is you can also customize your URL. I think I mentioned before in the presentation, but you can add your URL to your resume contact information. And if you do this, again, your resume is your clip notes of you. If they click on your LinkedIn, they can go to the book of you and see so much more than just a one-page resume will show. But URL usually has like a bunch of letters and numbers after your like attached to your LinkedIn profile. So you can update it. And I would recommend having your first and last name as your customized URL. And then if not, if it's taken, you might have your first, middle, and last name, or you might have your first and last name and the industry you're looking into, or something along those lines just to shorten it and make it super easy for them to find you. This area is actually found in the public profile section right at the top right-hand side of your screen. And again, look for those pencils and that's where you can edit that information. A featured section is where you can really showcase a lot of your work. So if you happen to, let's say you have a talent for marketing on top of like engineering or science or math, right? You can showcase some of those curated or those things that you've created, right? Or you could also showcase, if you're a writer, if you like to post your articles on there, you can do that. Other posts, other media, like let's say you've developed a website, you can put all that information on there and really showcase your skills into even deeper, a deeper understanding of who you are to showcase all these accomplishments you've done. So that's a section. Another section, and this is where your resume comes in handy, is your work experience. So just like your resume, you want to put your job title in there, the company you work for, the dates that you've been part of that company, and really expand upon your experiences. So add the location, the employment type, but you also want to include the bullets and from your resume and add that to your description. So again, just it's kind of like a plug and chug. So copy and paste those on there. If let's say you have like only a few bullets because you want to keep your resume to one page, you can add even more on LinkedIn, right? That's pertinent to future jobs that you're applying to. So if you want to add a few more, that's totally fine. I don't think there's a limit on that. But again, keep in mind that you do want to make sure that it's not too long that people lose interest in your profile. I think you can also add teammates from your work if you would like to. So if you know you're currently working and you like your job, you can add your teammates. If you're, maybe looking, maybe that's not something you want to do at that time. LinkedIn has said that you can go back 10 to 15 years if applicable. For some of us, that's just not, we don't have that much experience yet. So I would just recommend going back to whatever you feel is most relevant to future positions. Media is another section that you can add content under. You can add a summary under each job experience. You can upload documents, images, link to online media. Again, it's kind of similar to the feature section, or any additional URLs that you would like to share on this platform. So with your experiences, kind of going back to what I was talking about, include your current position and at least your last two previous positions if you've had those. Even if it's, a part-time job or a summer gig, or maybe it's an internship and a previous seasonal position, that's totally fine, okay? Make sure to add those jobs, because let's say your seasonal job, maybe it wasn't related to your degree as much, or like the future career you want to go into, but still, I guarantee you've learned a lot about those power skills, right? Like teamwork, accountability, communication, all those. So don't feel like you can't add those, and really add some bullets to them to expand upon your key responsibilities, and then what the purpose, impact, and result was from each of those. And then also, you can have multiple roles under one employer, and it's really going to show growth in the company. So if you are working, I think I have my a snapshot of mine on there. It'll show multiple roles, but it's really going to show longevity at the company that you work for, which I think is really important to hiring managers. Here we go. So as you can see here, South Dakota School Mines and Technology is where I'm currently working, and it shows that I've been with the company for 5 years and 3 months when this was taken, which is a little time ago now. But it's going to show my current position. As you can see, the dates I've been part of that position, the location. I have some of my bullets. I do go into a little bit further or deeper into those. As you can see, the see more on the bottom right of the assistant director position. And then it goes back in time. So it works its way back. And I've put bullets on each of those positions to kind of expand upon what I've done for this company. Okay, so continuing through the profile, licenses and certifications is another section that you can add if it's pertinent to you. It may not be. If it's not, you don't need to fill anything out, of course. And this is just a way to really confirm your credentials. So here's a snippet of mine. You can actually input when it expires, if it does, or when you concluded it. So those are just two examples there. Yours might look similar to that. Volunteerism is another great one. This can really showcase your ability to give back to the community and that importance to you. So make sure that when you list your volunteer experiences, you are able to show depth of those experiences and show that you've contributed as well. Another section, this is kind of for if you're not sure where to add additional pertinent information, you might put it in your accomplishments. So this is where you could add important test scores. So if it was like, let's say it was ACT, SAT, you could put them in there if you're a freshman. If you're getting closer to graduation, or if you're, an alumni, or even further on, you can just take that information out. Honors and awards can fit in here just nicely. Publications too would be a great fit in here, special projects. And again, just a lot of whatever you don't feel like fits in another section that you want to highlight, put in your accomplishments section. Okay, so we've kind of went through like the nuts and bolts of the LinkedIn profile, and now I want to really highlight settings and privacy. So it's really important that you look into this, and I would really say into this for all social media platforms, so you're aware of, your information and what you have displayed. So settings and privacy, make sure you add your content first, and then when you do add your content, you can revisit your page to see a live example of what your profile looks like. So for instance, in the upper left-hand corner of your LinkedIn, when you go in, if you click see my face in the top left there, if you click the down arrow, it's going to show a view profile, and that's going to show what it looks like to the public. So you are in control of your privacy settings. You can update this in your settings and privacy, which is just listed down here. So make sure that you do look into that so you're aware of the information that's out there. Let's see. Yep. So again, editing the public profile, lots of great information on the settings and privacy um, account there. And then this is kind of what it looks like. There's lots of things on the left that you can see, how others see your profile and network information, how others see your LinkedIn activity, all that good stuff. And then you can really edit and change however you want it to, if you only want it to connections, if you allow it to public, whatever. So just check into that and make sure you're choosing whatever is right and the best fit for you. Additionally, protecting yourself online, I think, is just very important for us all to know. So you really can control who follows you, and who you want to block, especially if you're being harassed. Just like any platform, those people can be out there. So just make sure that you are aware of that. If that does occur to you, you can always take a screenshot of the message or if it's offensive or harassing, and keep it for a possible report to LinkedIn is an option. And then they are going to investigate pretty promptly on that. Again, you want to keep in mind and be professional because this is a professional social media account, even if the people that may be messaging you aren't keeping to that standard. So you can also, with that being said, protect your contact list. I think this is in your settings, you can choose to see who can see your contacts. So if you want to keep those protected. And then also on the right hand side here, you can show your followers. You could look at your block list or your unfollowed list too. So just make sure to check that out. And then you can, like I said, make that your own. So what recruiters are going to review first? So first, it's going to be your profile picture and your headline, and those are at the top. Next will be your summary. Again, that really important information, a snapshot of what's to come. They're going to look at your positions or previous positions. Then they're going to look at some random ads on the side, and then they're going to go down and look at your education section. So, LinkedIn, some of these snapshots I have might be a little bit older. The site may have been updated or changed just a little bit, but this is still kind of what recruiters are going to be viewing, even if it's not in the same place on your web page. So we talked about building a profile, so that's good and that's done. But we want to talk about building that presence, and this is where you're going to be doing that because not only is LinkedIn a job searching platform, but it's also really, I think, one of the best known networking platforms as well. So join those groups and associations. So if you're part of any student groups, professional organizations, you can go and add yourself or request to add yourself to those groups. How you would want to do that is you click on the search bar, you can search for those keywords, and then you can go to filters, click more, and then select the groups that are relevant to those keywords, and then finally request to join. Usually with groups, you have to be approved to be joined, hence the group. Um, One thing is it's your own preference on who you want to connect with and what feels right. So for me, I have kind of taken on I only want to allow connections to happen with people I know or people who might know a connection of mine that, we might have a common person that we know, right? So it's up to you on how you want to do this. I know some people will just go in and, connect with everybody. That's fine. That's what works for them. But know that that doesn't have to be what works for you. However, I do recommend being active and commenting and sharing and just being a presence on this platform. Okay, here's just a picture. I think may have updated on LinkedIn, so it might not look the same, but the same general information's still there. So you can look for certain companies, particular industries, search for the school. So this is where you can find a lot of different filters and search for those groups, different organizations, and the like. So just keep in mind that you are a lot more experienced than you think. So even if you just have summer gigs for right now or seasonal gigs, that's fine. Work towards those internships or co-ops. Then that's going to give you some more experience that's going to be really industry related. And then, go to look for those full-time positions. Or if you're looking for, your second or third full-time position, just keep in mind that you do have a lot of experience and you bring a lot to the table. One way to get more networking through the site would be to really get personal on that professional level. So maybe you request to connect with somebody in the industry that you know or that you've met at maybe a convention or a conference or a career fair. And one of the things you can do is you can request and message them to see if they'd be interested in doing a conducting an informal informational interview with you. um, an informational interview is really where you interview them and you ask them, really interesting and relevant questions of like, what's the best part of working for the industry? Can you tell me what you wish you knew on your first day, or what you know now that you wish you knew back when you started? So it's not the purpose of informational interviews isn't to get a job, it's just to get to know the professional in the industry and see if they can give you any tips or recommendations of how to be prepared for that industry. Also, update your status often. That's going to show your presence on this platform to hopefully get you some more hits on your profile. Not only is um, LinkedIn a great networking site, but make sure you're throwing other nets out there. So go to those conferences, even if they're virtual. Go to those workshops. Go to those information sessions. Um, the hidden job market's great. If you know any people in the industry, or somebody that knows somebody in the industry, that's a great networking opportunity for you. And then when you go to look for future jobs, make sure that you do your research on the companies of interest. This is going to be really important and help you stand out amongst the crowd, because when you do your research, it's not only going to show that you want to work for the company, but that you're also invested in what they do, which is something that hiring managers like to see. Additionally, on LinkedIn, you can also follow influencers, you can follow different hashtags, company pages, you can do that as well. There's lots of different groups to be part of, and newsletters as well. So this is going to curate content that's going to show up on your feed, which is part of your LinkedIn profile. And it's going to be really curated and relevant to you. So this is just great to start connecting and getting this all filled out on your profile to get that information up and coming through. So connect with at least 50 people you know on LinkedIn. I don't think this is as hard because I feel like now everybody, like the degrees of separation are not as existent as they previously were. So these could be friends, these could be family friends, they could be family, it could be colleagues, it could be schoolmates, it could be like a lot of different people. You can also take a look at your email address, add in your contacts, and see if they have a LinkedIn account and add them if they do, and reconnect with them. You can also check out the people you may know, which I think is really kind of a cool feature on your network, on My Network tab that you have, because it just highly, it just recommends people that obviously you may know. And then also when you do reach out to them, or if you do want to like connect with them, I highly recommend adding a little note just saying, hey, I remember we had that class together in freshman year. It was so great um, to work with you on our group project. I just thought I would connect, or I thought I would reconnect. So even adding a few extra words in there is going to help you to connect with that contact. Also, I know there's people that I haven't connected with lately that I really probably need to, and I'm sure that's the case for a lot of us. But even if you've lost touch with some contacts, it's okay to reconnect, and I would even encourage you to do so, even though I know it's super awkward. But you might even consider messaging them and just kind of beating them to the punch and saying, I know it's been a while since we last spoke. I hope you're staying well and doing well in light of the current situation or current circumstances. I just wanted to reconnect or something like that. So having that message really makes it personalized. Also, as you kind of progress through your career journey, share your insights and stories by posting. Like I mentioned, there's a newsfeed on there. You can make posts, you can share posts, reshare. You can add a takeaway or two from an article you read, or talk about something that you found really interesting, which is going to help, have you show up on other people's feeds as well. You might even share a few things that you learned based on your experience, or if you went to a conference lately, you could even talk about that. But just really posting on a regular basis and including relevant hashtags to your content is going to really extend beyond your first degree connections to hopefully get even more connections and get that networking in place. Also, ask your network for help. Ask connections to introduce you is a great way to expand your digital network and therefore, open some doors and open some opportunities that you may not have thought possible. So make sure that you do keep that door open and ask for help when needed. Additionally, recommendations are another great thing to kind of ask for. It's just kind of like a letter of recommendation, but it's the digital platform and digital footprint. So to ask for recommendation, they have to be a first degree connection, which is a direct connection, to be able to request that. So how you want to do this is you want to navigate to the recommender's profile, click on the more button on the profile, then you can click ask for a recommendation. And that's going to send them a message saying that you're asking for that recommendation. And then through the same process, you can write a recommendation too. But again, you do want to reciprocate this so it's not just a one-way street, especially if it's another colleague or a supervisor or something like that. So make sure that you take the extra time to do that for others as well. So again, the digital footprint, like you're really leaving that on your on the interwebs, right? And having that as your LinkedIn profile. So make sure that it's filled out and just complete as much as you can. So I'm not going to lie, it's going to take a chunk of time to complete. It's not going to be difficult to update once you have all that information listed, though. And then just make sure you maintain it, right? And maintain what you created because it does take a lot of time and it's really going to be helpful for you when you go to look for those positions in network. So here's just kind of another snapshot of different companies you can follow that I just pulled from mine, different people that you can follow as well. So lots of different things, companies, industries, and influencers to connect with. Okay, so we're kind of getting to the end here, but I do want to just put a plug in for the LinkedIn Premium. This is an advanced connections tool. I'm sure it looks a lot different than the snapshot I took here because it does update pretty often. But this is a way for you to you can connect with others. You can see who's viewed your profile. Um, all these different extra things that you can have that might be helpful, especially when you're really like trying hard to look for that next position. With that, you can do a month free, and then I think it's about $30 per month after that, but just check into that. But let's say you're like really on the hunt for a job now, try the 30 days for free. And then if you don't like it, make sure to put on your calendar to cancel out before the 30 days is up. So just something to try out. And it does give you a lot more information and a lot more things to connect with. So something to keep in mind. So, as we conclude, here's a few things not to do on LinkedIn. First, don't ghost the platform after creating a profile. Make sure that you do go in there and fill it out completely because you don't want to have a profile with just your name on it. It just doesn't look good for you, and you want to make yourself look good, especially on this platform. Also, don't settle for the default headline, which is that job post or the job that you're currently in. Make sure that you do update that because you can. So you might as well update it and make it your own. Also, don't endorse skills that you've never witnessed in somebody else. Again, this is where you want to be 100% honest and also honest on other people's platforms as well. Don't only request recommendations, make sure to reciprocate because that really shows your professionalism too. And also, it's just good to do for others. Avoid posting personal Instagrammable photos. Instead, make sure that they're professional or they're really industry relevant. And then just keep those photos for your other social media platforms. Definitely avoid complaining about your job, your supervisor, or your coworker or coworkers if you're unhappy. Not a good look. Just don't share any of that information on your social media if you're unhappy. And I would just say on any platform, it's just a no-go at all. It'll always come back to haunt you. So just avoid that. Also, if you're going to apply for jobs and let's say you haven't worked on your LinkedIn for a few years, you need to go back on and make sure that you are updating that before you apply to jobs because you want to make sure everything's up to date. And again, put the URL on your resume. And then lastly, don't use it for anything other than professional social media accounts. For example, don't go out here looking for people to connect with on a dating scale. Like, just don't do that. Just use this for professional profile. So some examples I've had are things like this. You know, you don't want to be that LinkedIn member. Like, thankfully, I took a screenshot of this before they blocked me. That's why it said LinkedIn member. But just make sure that you remain professional. You're not that person. You want to be professional. Um, and if you want to go on other sites to do other things, that's just fine. But just keep it professional on LinkedIn. Again, here's another thing I would just definitely avoid doing. Use it as a professional site. You don't need to use innuendos. I'm posting this on purpose because this is a message I received from this person. I didn't think that was very professional. So I contacted, the company just to let them know that I didn't think that was professional. So just keep it professional and keep it the way that it should look for this platform. Okay, so that kind of concludes my presentation. I did just want to show the rest of our Career Center events for the spring 2021. We have our PDI conference is still TBD. Hopefully we get some more information out on that soon. We have a matchmaking majors and occupations presentation that I'm going to be sharing on March 17th from 5 to 6 on Zoom. And then Matt Hanley, our director, is going to he's going to host the co-ops and internship tips from fellow Hard Rockers. So if you're looking for some real life tips, go to that. That's going to be April 7th from 4 to 5 p.m. on Zoom as well. So I just want to thank you all for your time in watching this. I know it was kind of an in-depth view of building a LinkedIn presence, but I just thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact our office at careercenter@sdsmt.edu. We're open from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Upper Surbeck Center. There's our number as well with our website and then our YouTube channel, which I will be posting this to. All right. Well, I hope you have a fantastic night.